What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your July 14th reading, your daily creative reading. My esteemed colleague and I are going to dive right in here. I set the intention already, so let's have at it, shall we? Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives, please, for July 14th? You are magical. And there's a little moth slash butterfly on the back. Okay, so we'll look at that one, and then we'll do this one. Oh, with love. Oh, look at that. There's a hummingbird. Nice. Okay. She's been a little frisky this morning, so I got to play with her at some point today. She might just get the zoomies out on her own, though. She's good with that. I do play with her every day, but then sometimes I go like ham, and we get the laser pointer out, and it's a good time, right? Yeah. She's so funny because she doesn't actually bite. Like that's like, it's just like, it's like, come here. Okay, so we have the Chariot. We have the Eight of Pentacles and the Ten of Wands. Yep. And then we have the Empress, the High Priestess, Knight of Pentacles, the Devil. Ace of Swords, and the Queen of Cups. Oh, and the Queen of Swords on the bottom. Two queens. I feel like there's a little bit of self-protection going on, and just self-protection in the sense that you're understanding your emotions with greater clarity, which is helping you to figure out next steps. So we're starting with the Chariot here. This Chariot energy, obviously momentum. This is Cancerian energy, taps into the fourth house, which is also the house of like ancestral lineage. It in a binary, if we're looking at gender in terms of a binary, it would be mother energy. I think about just the fourth house and the 10th house as representing ancestral energy, period, not binarizing them. Some people do, that's fine. But for me, so I think this is like ancestral connections. And I feel a bit like there's been a release here. It's taken some time. Though. Again, this suitcase energy from yesterday, the carryover is quite interesting to me, and not interesting in any specific way. Okay, so I'm being directed to this here because I realized I didn't read this to start. I just dove right in, but I'm going to, at this release, just, dear you, there is a balance between activity and rest, ebb and flow. You can't have one without the other. If you're faced with an obstacle right now, the best course is surrender and non-resistance. Soon enough, you'll see how easy it is to flow around it. Now is one of those times when you must trust the river of your life. Go with the flow, and in no time, you'll reach what you have your heart and hopes set on. Just remember, Spirit will keep your head above water and will direct the currents. When it's time for greater effort, you'll know exactly when you'll need to work for those manifesting muscles. It can be challenging to master the flow of cycles of your life, but as you develop your skills, affluence will be yours. Enjoy the flow and trust those currents, for we're right there with you with our little umbrella drinks, smiling at your success. Love you so very much. And that I'm really getting that with this like need for rest. I think this is also what this kind of calls for, right? And I think too that this is a good season for it. I mean, in the northern hemisphere, we're in summer, so it's almost like it's a good season for that R&R, right? Most people, whoops, my chair there. Most people take vacations, right? They take vacations at this time of year because it gives them that ability to catch up on rest. But I almost feel like this is like I'm with this legacy, this like ancestral energy. I'm almost getting that you're like building something you don't need to take breaks from. Like there's this, because I get this as like this frustrated energy where you release something and it's like you're building something in its place, not to immediately replace it or to just go on as you'd done before. But I feel like there's a real intentionality that you're birthing. You're bringing something to life here. You're bringing something into the world. And I don't know if it's necessarily a project or an energy, but the Chariot tells me that there's something that's in motion, it's been in motion for a long time. But I feel like you're more aware of the sort of command you have over this this chariot, where I'm seeing this. It's almost like the way this came through was somebody came up to the roof of it and was looking out and beholding the fact that the chariot was just operating on its own, and it was the product of this person's thoughts, and it was the product of their intentions and what they put into the world. So it's almost like yeah, it's almost like it's understanding how the momentum works. And this reminds me of a river, even though it's on land for sure. But it just reminds me of being in a river, and it's like there's no need to, like, the intention controls the chariot, so there's no need to use rudimentary tools like things where we would harm animals or anything like that. Oof. But it's like, you know what, I hope this makes sense. Like this way of what's going on internally is what is kind of running this chariot and helping it to move. The Empress energy here is, to me, that's something that you're bringing, that you're birthing. This could also be like a rebirth. Like there's a part of you that you're bringing into the world. There's a part of you that you're bringing into the world. Yeah, I'm just getting this energy of like, not not pregnancy, but um, fruitful. Like, I think about it with a garden that I had last year, or 2 years ago. I don't even remember. But during the pandemic, one of the things that I did this year, not so much because I've been so busy with work and whatnot, but um, and people might say that's the precise reason you need one, but it's also just that I wouldn't have the proper time to care for and talk to the plants, and that is a big deal to me. So anyways, with tomatoes out back, I would, it got to a point when they were all ripe at the same time. And there were like literally, I think, 20 to 25 tomatoes. So like I was like running them over to people or bringing them to people and saying, take them, because I can't, like, there's no way. And tomatoes I can't eat them the same as I used to because of the acidity level in them. But I feel like it's that sort of fruitful harvest of something, but it's like the realization that the fruitful harvest is on its way, because you're understanding this momentum, whatever this momentum represents. And then, so this is what could become a tower if it goes unchecked. And I think about this as not grounding your intuition, right? Because there are times where I'll get intuitive hits on something and it can cause anxiety to the extent that your energy isn't grounded, number one. And number two, you're looking for the whole picture when you just get an intuitive inclination or an intuitive hit, right? It's like, I don't know. I'm actually missing a card here. But I feel like when you get these intuitive hits on things, Ace of Wands, wow. It's not about trusting the hit itself. It's not about trusting that intuitive like spark, right? What the thing that I'm learning, or have learned really, to trust is less in the what and more in the fact that it's a sign of being in the river, right? It's just a sign of being in the river. And we don't always see the big picture of it, right? I've talked about this before, where I had, there were managers where I work, and I had a dream where they, like, something separated them. And like I didn't know that they were friends or whatever outside of work, but then like one of them moved to a different organization altogether, and this was 3 months before it happened, right? So I didn't know what that meant. I've had dreams where I have no idea what it means, but then it'll come up and it'll be a deja vu moment. So I have dreams that end up like that, right? I mean, and yesterday I had that dream with Louise Hay in it, and she was guiding me through things, and or the night before, whenever, but it doesn't make sense, but it's not, the point isn't for it to all make sense instantaneously, right? It can, but the point isn't for it to make sense. The point is for it to resonate in your heart. Like there's a feeling and a presence that is meant to be evoked by those things, not this like rush to have it all just like fit together or shape together perfectly, like, chef's kiss perfection. Like it's not meant to be that way. So this to me is almost like that's where it can become this tower, when you're asking things of your intuition that your intuition is not meant to deliver. Your intuition is not meant to deliver the full picture, because I almost feel like, for me at least, intuition is a gift that is something that helps us to navigate, right? It helps us to navigate the journey, not to see everything as it's supposed to be played out, because that doesn't really help much, right? And I mean, if that's the answer you want, then it will help you, but it doesn't help you to navigate if that's your end goal. So it will only disconnect you, right? So, and just disconnect you, because that's where it can become a tower, is if it's ungrounded. It can really be, even the strongest intuitive inclinations can be less effective. And at times too, when it comes to being ungrounded, your intuition being in this ungrounded place, it can also just mean that you're not able to sustain a connection to spirit because of the ways that your energy centers are operating, or something along those lines. And there's nothing wrong with it. We all have those places and times in our life, because we're sorting through things, and the point is to sort through the thing before we can receive different guidance, right? And that's not to say that you have to earn intuition either, because that's absolutely not the truth. But that's where it can become a tower, is where we place all of these things on intuition and expectations that it's not meant to fulfill. So if it's not meant to fulfill that purpose, it's just not meant to, right? And the protagonist energy here in this hero's journey is the Knight of Pentacles, which to me, 1111 was just on the time. To me, it's like that slow moving energy. And I think that's where this, with your intuition, it's going to be slow information coming to you. A lot of, albeit binaried, a lot of feminine energy here. So this receptivity with the Queen of Swords and Queen of Cups, the High Priestess and the Empress, it would be silly for me not to mention this, right? So there's a lot of receptivity to do with today, or the energy of today. And I think the slow-moving Knight of Pentacles energy is about the seeds that you've planted. And don't look necessarily at what is, if you get too caught up in horizon thinking without looking back, just to, say, wow, that was amazing, and to reflect with gratitude, I feel like that's the best kind of looking back. Because some people say, and even on my laptop, I have a sticker here that says, it's an Edna Mode sticker. It says, I never look back, darling. It distracts from the now. So I'm going to show you that there. Now you get to see my little nerdy laptop stuff. Yes, that says my other car is a Merkava. But I never look back, darling. It distracts from the now. So I share that just because I didn't want to mess up the quote. But also, it's, we say don't look back, but do, provided that it's from a place of gratitude and out of an abiding respect for yourself. Out of an abiding respect for yourself, right? And if people are wondering why there was a black bear sticker on the laptop, it's because they show up in my dreams as relatives or indicative around relatives. So for me, it has deep meaning personally. And, that's just, yeah. And they've shown up as messengers and all of that in my dreams. So for me, it's really powerful and important. But it's almost like also making peace with the potentially slow arrival of something, right? In this particular setup, these two cards are connected. And I feel like it's this slow birth of something. And it might just be respecting the fact that maybe you needed this slow process. Maybe what felt stuck at one time was necessary because you couldn't just rush to the end of something. And I think that's where this story, to me, the devil in this particular iteration represents the stories that you're telling about the journey, right? Are you telling ones that keep you playing small and beholden to something that just isn't true, or that doesn't tell the full story, that doesn't tell the full picture of something, right? What story are you telling of that, right? What story are you telling? And I think that's where that can really drain your energy and take away from your energy and momentum, is the story that you decide to tell. Because the devil is connected to me in one of its iterations. It's connected to ego and illusion and the stories we tell ourselves. So I think that is, I think that's really indicative of, I think it also, I'm getting this connection to your intuition as well. Like these two cards together, bookending the Knight of Pentacles, it's like there's this way that your slow process is helping to filter the information through your intuition as opposed to through your stories. So I think there's this, and there's the train coming through. But there's this sort of slower process that was necessary, I think. And it's just, if we're used to carrying more stories than trust in our intuition, that's just a carryover of that. It's not something to judge yourself for or anything along those lines. It's definitely something to hold as like to hold in your heart, and to allow yourself to understand that there's nothing wrong with having done that. It's what you choose to do going forward, right? It's what you choose to do next. Now the challenge is the Knight of Cups, and I feel like this is a really good challenge. It's a good challenge, and it tells me that there's a lot of healing that's taken place, because if the challenge is offers of love from someone or people, like, you're doing so much work. You're, and not work as in, like, I'm hearing Rihanna's song, work, 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 work. Um, it's not like that necessarily, where you're sitting behind a desk doing all of these things. I think that the work to overcome this was done already with this 10 of Wands, where this frustrated, like, enough, like, you just get tired of your own BS, and then you begin. I'm hearing this specific line, and we learn the reasons why one step at a time. The song by Jordan Sparks. Yeah. With the Ace of Wands here as well, this is the overcoming. And I think it's like, I almost feel like this, like, something catches fire in your mind. Something alights in your mind in terms of an idea that just absolutely lights you up. Your intuition is not, and this is like, I feel like this is like integrated intuition. This is intuition integrated with the High Priestess. This is momentum. This is all of the energy of something brand new. But I feel like this is a gift that nobody sees, because it's one that you unwrap internally. And I think that's really beautiful energy. I think it's like there's this fire that you're finding within yourself. Because I do get this sort of like you on your own, and then you're turning inward regarding these frustrations, this 10 of Wands and 8 of Pentacles, right? This frustrated energy. And then this Empress is this sort of inward turn that you're birthing something from. Yeah. Ace of Wands and Ace of Swords. And I feel like that's it's like whatever it is that wakes up. And I almost feel like this is like a waking up inside you. Like this is a waking up inside you. An awakening. Oh my God. I know I only have 2 cups of coffee a day, so I know that this is for real. But awakening. Oh my goodness. Yes, the other part of my energy is just straight up ADHD. That's the benefit of it. Yeah, it's like a little superpower. There's something that's awakening within you, and I feel like it's giving you access to this truth, where you may have been working in this 8 of Pentacles way to access the truth, but the truth only came from the release, because what you're seeing had this Empress process. I feel like it's an Empress process. The Empress process. That's maybe what I'm going to title this. And in true fashion, before I swim around the fishbowl and might forget it, I'm just going to jot that down. It's like the goldfish mind. One swim around the bowl. It's all new. But this truth connecting to the Empress process, I think it's like there's something you couldn't see. Like it's almost like you felt like you had to either ascend a staircase or descend something, like, but it wasn't the effort that you thought it was. And there's so much clarity you're gaining about your emotions and your heart space. It's almost like mind and heart align. And that's where this truth comes alive. That's why it comes alive. I'm hearing that line again, and we learn the reasons why one step at a time. My third eye has been aching today. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. Let's do some clarification here. I love that she just makes herself comfortable, right? Hey. Doesn't even move. So cute. Okay. Oh, let me do this here. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives, please? 10 of Swords. Yeah. The Wheel of Fortune. Wow. 10 of Wands. 3 of Wands. And the 6 of Pentacles. Wow. And the 9 of Cups. Dang. Okay. So I really do feel like there was It's like the search is over. It's almost like there was this search. I feel like this chariot energy was really like emotion, like not emotion, but like a motion towards, like you were looking for something, you're searching for something. And the Ten of Swords to me is like that release where you just let it go. You released something. And like it's not, it was like slow. That's where I feel like it's like there's two almost like parallel releases, where it's like this release of frustrated energy and a coming towards, but then it's also the story of the release. So you're kind of doing this, right? Um, that Ten of Swords, though. But there is, so it's like an ending, but a beginning. And I feel like this is the beginning of I think almost like this expression, like your expression, perhaps, of divine energy. And then we have the Chariot, the Knight of Cups, and the Ace of Wands. Chariot, Knight of Cups, and the Ace of Wands. That's, to me, that's about, I think that's someone, this could be offers coming towards you. Um, I feel like there's one that might stand out with this ace. There's like one, I, or opportunities in terms of work or creative projects. The Knight of Cups can represent love. In all of these cards, it does speak to that. I'm not going to say like forget it. It doesn't do it at all, because we have the Empress, the High Priestess, the Ace of Wands, the Queen of Cups, the Queen of Swords, and the Chariot, which are all like, if not emotional momentum and movement, like it's a lot of cards that people associate with soulmates or possibly twin flames. Like it's, yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about twin flame energy. I'll put that right out there. I thought I knew, and I have really no idea. But this, if you're looking for relationship stuff, I feel like this is fortuitous. If you're thinking about work, the Knight of Cups can represent heartfelt energy. It can represent, showing up excited at work. It's like a zest for it, right? A way that you're thrilled to do what you do. But this is also the way that others offer themselves too on projects. This is like, I feel like this is just that really beautiful, sensitive, excited energy. And the Ace of Wands tells me about these creative sparks. And I'm hearing sparks fly. That could be between you and someone else, but I feel like there is motion and momentum. This could be offers that you get from a job that you're, or for a job that you're really going to love. This could be offers that you get for, like emotional offers from people in terms of like, let's hang out, and you make a good friend, that kind of thing, right? Like there's something along those lines. The Three of Cups would tell me more that this was friend, but it's possible, right? We can't rule that out, just anyways. But this Wheel of Fortune clarifying all of this energy, it's like, it's almost like there's something about this that's gonna feel like it was fated a little bit, like there's something destined about it. Like all you can really see, it looked like a total mess, right? Like this strikes me as like shit show on the way there. But the expansion is what doesn't make sense. And I feel like the Wheel of Fortune is a Jupiter. It's like, it's an expansive energy, but that's also a little bit of fate and synchronicity and spirit, playing a role in bringing the best parts of things to life and expanding on those things. And I feel like that's what this energy is doing, right? I feel like that's what this energy does. And that's what it's doing for you. Ten of Wands, clarifying the Ten of Wands, is really telling about the frustration that you've left or are leaving behind. And it's almost like there's two different ways to work, right? Like it's almost like the 80-20 rule. I think it's like the Pareto principle. But it's like you can 80 if you want, but you could 20, and it might make your life a little bit easier. And what that looks like for you, I don't know. But for me, like it has looked before like, oh, I want to work on this today, but I feel like working on something else and balancing this too. Because I know that having ADHD, it can make it really like, it can make it tenuous as to what I listen to, right? Like if I listen to that, is it an impulse or is it intuition? So you have to figure out your own navigational system to really understand that. But, and that's not to say that all folks with ADHD have that. It's really not the case. We're not a monolith. So, but it does tell me that there's a way that, like, there are times, for example, to go back to that point, where I'll get excited about something and I'm like, oh, I want to work on this. And the reason why is because in an hour, I can do what will take me 3 to 4 hours otherwise. And that's the magic of ADHD. That's the magic, because there's like a pattern recognition that flips in your brain. And whether it's dopamine or whatever the biochemical stuff is, this is where it's like workplaces have yet to accommodate ADHD and neurodivergence in meaningful ways that really tap into this without making it something that's a requirement all the time. But like, how are you working that in so that there's this like rabbit hole time for people, right? And it doesn't even need to be applied at work necessarily, but I'll be researching something and I'll do enough research in a short period of time so that I have like a month's worth of questions to ask after that. And it's like it's really just the product of my neurodifference. But that is something that we can also do, right? Like, give yourself a day, time block, give yourself a whole day to just fall down a rabbit hole about these different topics related to your business, to work, to different projects you're working on, right? If that feels comfortable for you. But I find that to be super productive. And then giving yourself a day after that to rest and empty so that you can then be refilled, like finding a way to go into that, like fall into that rabbit hole, but then the next day give yourself something to do to empty back out so that you can then take in more inspiration and what to do with the work that you did in that chunk of time. That's how things have worked for me, at least. But that's what I'm getting, this 80-20, right? Like, how are you managing that? Because intuition is the 80% of the work done in 20% of the time, because things just align. Ideas come to you. People say specific things. Books fall off of shelves. That happens all the time at work. And it also, when I go to bookstores, they fall off the shelves. Like, it's amazing, right? Or people will mention something or a concept will come up, like something like that, where it's like it facilitates flow. So it's just paying attention to the way that you utilize that 80-20, because that is, I think, part of the frustration that you're releasing. And when it comes to relationships, 80% of the work, like if you look at it in that way, I mean, I think it's also like, it has to do with communication, where like 80% of the communication takes place in 20% of the communication, right? So it's like scaling it and understanding that 20% of what you're actually trying to say might take, if you're not communicating intentionally and with clarity. And for me, the written word is better, but there are times where when I write things out, or, I can sound much more intense than I intend to be. So it's like understanding how that works and making sure that people on either ends understand that. But it's like communicating with clarity, with intention, making sure that you're communicating, you're not going to the freaking hardware store for milk, right? Making sure that that's the case with the communication, because then it's like 20% of the communication accounts for 80% of the enjoyment in the relationship as well, right? So like thinking about it in those terms, not because you're looking for the shortcut to get something done, because communication bears no shortcuts, and it will make an ass of us sooner than we think if we operate in that way. Yeah, but there's just something to be said here for that, and that's really a big. There's a lot of endings here. Like these are big ass cycles. These are not little things. Like 10 of Swords, Wheel of Fortune, 10 of Wands, clarifying the 10 of Wands. Yeah. And I feel like it's sort of like this slow pace is unlocking a different way of seeing things. Maybe even yourself. Maybe even seeing yourself differently. And the devil energy here in terms of this story that you're telling yourself about these things potentially, right? Like, we have the Six of Pentacles and the Nine of Cups. So it's almost like this emotional balance. And it's an emotional balance that you've done for yourself. Like you've put in, this is like laying the groundwork for these bigger, beautiful energies to come in. But it's like this intense release. I don't know. It could have been, the full moon in Cancer. And by full moon, I mean new moon. Just kidding. The new moon in Cancer, but it could be related to the full moon in Capricorn as well. I almost feel like there's something about that full moon that might be speaking to this whatever energy or thing you're birthing into this world. It could be a part of yourself that's like being activated right now, right? That could very well be the case too. And I feel like this Nine of Cups and Six of Pentacles, it's like your emotions are bearing a different kind of fruit now, I think. They're bearing a kind of fruit that it's like you're understanding. This is like, to me, this is coming across as like an emotional investment in yourself. But there's also this aspect of like, I want to say a wish granted. But at the same time, it's like, this reminds me of those tomato plants. And it's almost like the gift isn't necessarily just the plant, but the gift is in what you can give away, right? The gift is in what you can give away from what was an unassuming number of plants and then this ridiculous amount of fruit that it bore, right? So it's something along those lines there. So I'm going to pull an affirmation for everyone to take with you tomorrow. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives, please? Messages for my daily creatives. I follow my joy. Yeah. I follow my joy. Your thoughts influence the kind of day you'll have. Name 3 ways you could make today even more enjoyable than you thought it was going to be. Maybe that's the slow process, right? Just like one day at a time, one step at a time, getting there bit by bit by bit. Yeah. I follow my joy. Again, that line, and we learn the reasons why one step at a time. And my third eye is really itchy. Okay, so then so we're closing this off. So with love. Dearest you, we bet you must be so exhausted some days. 10 of Wands. Giving as much as you do, sharing your energy so beautifully in service to the highest good can leave you feeling depleted, like an empty well. If it feels like there's no more water for you, the good news is we have a plan. Today, go take a relaxing bath. Book a massage, read a novel, buy yourself flowers, or plant some in your garden. Make time for self-care, not more work on yourself. 8 of Pentacles. By tending to yourself now, you are reminded to do so more often. And be sure to use a word that might have caused you anxiety in the past, but is essential for your well-being now. No. Say it with us. No, thank you. No, I can't. You do not have to explain. Just say no, gently but firmly. Then go for a soak. Life will wait for you to bring yourself back to center, replenished and ready for more adventure. We love you so very much. Yeah. Self-care is so interesting because sometimes it can come in the form of just like a hot bath. And then other times it's like putting in the hard work. But it's like understanding how to balance both of those energies and that they both represent a different kind of caring for yourself. They represent that, right? So, yeah. This is a very apropos of the Capricorn full moon that a lot of people have been posting about for the collective. It's a lot of intense release. But what intentions though? What intentions you've set? I'm seeing really strong ones. Like the Knight of Pentacles in this particular energy shows up as this seed planting, right? And that can be the energy that the Knight represents. But to me, it's like this slow progress. Mark your progress, not your perfection. Mark your progress, not your perfection. That's certainly a mantra that I know in my transition, I had to take it with me and really integrate that because what is perfection in transition? Well, it's different changes happening at different times and, the ways that things blow your mind in terms of the way that the way that your body shifts and changes. But then other ways you see how other people have done it before. So then you're like, oh, but it's all in the right timing. Again, this line, I have to go, I don't know if I should listen to this song again or what, but that line, and we learn the reasons why one step at a time. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. That is all I got. That's all that's coming through. But what did come through was incredible. So, my darling daily creatives, I hope that this resonated. If it did, please like and subscribe. I would love to have you on this channel. If you are joining me for my subscriber base, thank you so much. I really appreciate it and you. So there are other ways you can connect with me on the channel, so do check that out if you are so inclined. But if this is where we part, I hope that wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, it finds you very, very well, my darlings. Take care.